Okay, so Justin Trudeau is attempting damage control. He's doing a very poor job of it. He is like a man frantically trying to patch up a sinking ship as it's in the middle of the ocean. And the harder he works, the worse it seems to get. Let's hear what he had to say with questions.
An answer period. Le Premier ministre va rester pour les premières 5 questions. First question to Mackenzie Gray, Global News.
Mr. Trudeau, how can you say your party's united after numerous MPs told you to your face yesterday that you should quit?
Listen, the Liberal Party has always had robust discussions about the best ways to tackle the issues that are facing Canadians.
Right, but apparently it doesn't, because Trudeau is supposedly muzzling members of his caucus and not allowing them to speak. That was the almost entirety of question period between Poilievre and Trudeau yesterday. And I believe that because even though Trudeau claims to be a man and a party of diversity, equity, and inclusion and multiple different views, that really isn't the truth with progressivism. There is only one view with progressivism, and it is the progressive view. If you refuse to abide by it, then you are exorcised from the institution. You are excommunicated from the institution, from the party, from the platform, from the ideology, and are not allowed to participate. That doesn't sound very inclusionary to me.
We are united in our desire to prevent Pierre Poilievre from cutting programs and services that Canadians are facing. We're going to continue to have great discussions about how I can best lead the Liberal Party forward with measures that will counter the growing misinformation and disinformation that Mr. Poilievre is putting forward around Canadians. We're focused on winning the next election, and we've got a great team around us to do it.
All right, so all they care about is power, just like most other parties, power, 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 and Trudeau refuses to give up control of his ship, even though it's clear that his caucus wants him out, or the puppeteers who control the caucus want him out. Whatever it might be, Trudeau's time looks to be increasingly short. Now, of course, it's foolish to bet against a Trudeau. Justin has survived much longer than most would be, or than most expected. The fact that he has now served, although to be honest, he's made us to serve him, or he tries to do so, the fact that he's been in his position for 10 years is 10 years too long. So we'd be foolish to say, well, his time is up. No, Trudeau always has a trick up his sleeve.
Okay. Nous avons toujours eu.
I have given you a deadline. So are you planning on staying as Prime Minister past October 28th?
Yes.
And of course he is, right? Of course he will, right? Again, men like Trudeau do not willingly give up power. They have to be forcibly removed, whether it be by vote or whether it be his own caucus in absolute revolt, and he has no choice but to step down, whatever it might be. It goes to show the insufficiency of man compared to Jesus Christ, who willingly gave up power, literally in heaven, divine, and came to earth and put on the rags and clothes of mere man. That's a true power, to be able to give up power. Trudeau has none of it. He can't let it go.
Oui.
C'est clair. Okay. In this situation, we've heard that you've been listening, been reflecting, you listened in the caucus to the dissent that people voiced yesterday. At what point do you shift from listening, if this continues and the dissent continues and people continue calling for you to go, shift from listening to doing something? You've kicked people out of caucus before. Is that something that you're willing to do if this continues?
Unlike the Conservative Party of Canada, we have robust conversations within our ranks about the best way to move forward. I have a hard time believing that all Conservative MPs are fully supportive of having had one of their members get an all-expenses paid trip down to Florida for an extreme right-wing anti-abortion church. I have a hard time believing that all Conservative MPs are fine with a member of their front bench dining with neo-Nazis over the past years. I have a really hard time believing that all Conservative members are perfectly fine with their leader politicizing issues around national security, but refusing to get a security clearance to be able to actually deal with foreign interference. In the Liberal Party, we talk amongst ourselves. We share our perspectives. We're open about our united desire to make sure that Pierre Poilievre doesn't get the chance to cut the programs and services that Canadians are relying on in this time of affordability crises. So yeah, we're going to continue to have great conversations about what is the best way to take on Pierre Poilievre in the next election. But that'll happen with me as leader going into the next election.
Right. So Trudeau's gone totally mad, right? And it's been like this for a while, right? On the one hand, he says, well, we like to have robust conversation. And it's like, yeah, okay. So that's why your MPs are going to the bathroom to text journalists. Yeah, right. Robust conversation. And then he goes, our MPs have robust conversation about what the right path to take is. But that's a totally ridiculous assumption, right? Trudeau here is saying, well, we have a party of diversity. We have a party of equity and inclusion and progressivism. And so we can have all of these different discussions about what way to take the party, right? And those discussions will continue to be had. But insinuated in Trudeau's answer is the idea that all of the ideas are good and that they might just have a bit of discussion and disagreement. It's like if you apply that logically, if you apply that principle of everyone can suggest and demand that the party go in some particular direction, you will find the party goes nowhere at all. It's like hitching up a horse to a plow, north, south, east, and west. And then you tell the horses pull, and it's like they don't go anywhere. They just stay where they are, slinging mud as they try and pull their way out of their predicament. So Trudeau is in a lot of trouble.
Nous avons toujours eu de très bonnes d'extrême droite à souper avec tenir une cote de chef.
Concernant le dossier de l'immigration,
Sûr qu'on a ajusté une nouvelle population, on va c'est tous les Canadiens. I think one of the things that has ensured that Canadians have and continue to have confidence in our immigration system is that we have a robust, responsible immigration system that is also flexible.
Yeah, right. Robust and responsible. Yeah, okay, sure. Flood the nation with as many new individuals as possible. Yeah, robust and responsible. Right, so much responsibility.
There have been many times over the past years and decades that Canada has adjusted its approach on immigration. Just think about the pandemic, for example, where we stopped immigration. We closed our borders for a long stretch in order to keep Canadians safe, to respond to the crisis we were going through at that moment. What that meant was once the pandemic closures were done, we had significant labor shortages. We needed to get our economy rolling again. We listened to business, we listened to colleges and universities, and we boosted the number of people coming into this country.
Oh, yeah, did they ever, right? Right now, the immigration level should be zero. No one should be coming into this country. The level should be zero. We have a housing crisis. We have an economic crisis, contrary to what Trudeau says. And the answer to that crisis is not to flood the nation with hundreds of thousands of individuals every single year who need places to live. And if they decide to work, jobs to work at, right? We have to provide and we have to allow the markets to level off for the Canadians who are here now and who are born here. It is not the government's job, the federal government's job, to serve everyone else except for Canadians, which Trudeau seems to think it is.
That was a response to the COVID slowdown and shutdowns. But now our economy is in a different place. We've seen massive population growth over the past years, particularly in the area of temporary workers and temporary residents. And we are now saying, okay, we need to let our communities, our infrastructures catch up to the population. And that's why we're pausing population growth by reducing immigration numbers for the next 2 years, so we can get back pragmatically to a place where Canada can once again grow the way we all know we're going to need to in the coming decades.
Yeah, no, so he contradicts himself, right? On the one hand, he says we need all of these new workers, and now he says we have too many workers. So which is it? Which is it?
But getting things back to a responsible level is something that a responsible government does. It's certainly something we
Isn't
did.
the level responsible now? What do you mean get back under to a responsible level? Trudeau tells us that he's a responsible leader. So why did it become unresponsible? Or when did it become unresponsible?
Lots of times during COVID when we put forward a measure and realized, okay, a few weeks later, a few months later, we needed to adjust it or end it or shift it. This is still echoes of a pandemic that continues to have impacts on what we're doing.
Yeah, can't blame it like that. Sorry, doesn't work. And as for the government shifting or adjusting, of course, everyone knows how that came about, which was the convoy.
Boris Proulx, Le Devoir. Monsieur le Premier ministre, le Québec.
Bonjour, monsieur. Oui, j'aimerais savoir pourquoi.
Le niveau de la population.
Okay, so that's the end of the English questions. Trudeau's ship is teetering, right? Everyone can see that he is desperately trying to patch up holes, which are so massive in his ship that they are causing the boat to sink. This is a consequence of evil. Evil eats itself alive. That is the lesson of Lord of the Rings, right? Evil destroys itself. That's just the way it works because it is not grounded in truth. It is not grounded in reality, and it's not grounded in rationality. And so in this case, the Liberal government also will destroy itself. It also will chew itself up inside its own party and caucus. Not so with Jesus Christ. Christ is truth. Christ is alive. Christ is rationality. He is the law. He is all of those things which are real. For again, he is reality itself. That's why his kingdom will never tear itself apart. All is grounded in Christ. There is no rebellion in heaven. There is no, when eternity comes, there is no rebellion when a new heaven and new earth are built, are constructed for we who believe in Jesus. No. All is perfect in Christ. All is made new in Christ. All is rational in Christ. It is the complete opposite of the government in charge of Canada, at least on the outside right now.